great, and I wonder if you could just clap for us, just for just one big one.
Is everyone in?
Yeah. Yep.
Are you ready? Are you
Yep.
rolling?
Wait, are you going to go first and then me?
When do you know when a painting is finished?
Where do you get your ideas from?
What do you find funny?
That's an almost unanswerable question, but I'll try.
I found out that I could say whatever the fuck I wanted to in art and not get arrested.
That's the last advice I'm ever giving up.
Wow, that smell just drives me.
Oh my God, wow. Oh no. Ah.
Oh, fire.
I love it.
What matters the most is the content. Who's in the picture and why are they there?
I transform hate into love. That works makes me tick.
We're based. I'll start again, actually. So.
Donald, take a look and see what you think. He says it's because of the wall. Oh, okay, that's a huge relief. I'm Judy Chicago, and I'm an artist and a troublemaker.
I think that's rather good, I think.
Hi everyone, I'm Scott Morris. I'm Senior Producer in Tate's digital team. And today I'm going to talk about our approach to making art documentaries and why I think editorial storytelling should be a central part of a museum's content strategy. On the 30th of July 2008, we published our first film to Tate's YouTube channel. It's an interview with the Irish artist Dorothy Cross talking about her work Virgin Shroud. The work is, well, let's let Cross explain it.
The piece is called Virgin Shroud, and I made it in 1993. And it was part of a series called the Udder series, which originated when I found a sieve made out of an udder in Norway, which was a functional object that had fantastic surreal implications. I had never considered the use of an udder in any other way than just as a milk-giving thing, and I found it fascinating.
Fast forward to October 2023 and 999 films later, and we published a short profile film of the Turner Prize nominated artist Barbara Walker, installing her work at the Towner Gallery in Eastbourne.
I'm interested in the power of drawing and how it sits within the contemporary practices. It's very labour intense. I'm using my whole body. It's a quite highly charged activity that I'm involved in. It's also like a love affair. So it's poetic in that sense. In all the time that I create these drawings, I know they're temporary. So in a way, I'm already saying goodbye when I begin the first mark.
15 years apart, and with some allowances for upgrades to technology in that time, there are a lot of similarities between these two films. They're both artists talking about their work in a very human way, in a very natural way, and that's really at the core of what we do with our films at Tate. We've interviewed artists in their homes, in their studios, in their communities, in the places that influence and inspire their work all around the world. We filmed them on the road, on the beach, on the sea, surrounded by sheep, while shopping, while making art, even on a canoe. But we've also made educational how-to films, exhibition tours, conservation films, animations, music videos, audio descriptions, gardening tips, behind the scenes, even some films with celebrity appearances. And that's not even mentioning Tate Kids, which we'll talk about a bit later. Not everything has worked. Not everything has always made sense.
I see colors everywhere.
I'm a color sponge. Yeah, no, I have no internet. It's 2015, I have no internet. I already gave you my name. It's Sonia Delaunay.
But at the core of what we do is a drive to inspire, educate, and importantly, entertain an international audience of art lovers who crucially are not art specialists. That's an important part of Tate's mission, which is to increase the public's enjoyment and understanding of British art from the 16th century to the present day and international modern and contemporary art. I'm the senior producer of a small team of in-house producers at Tate and just one of the thousands of filmmakers, contributors and artists who have contributed to our video output over the years. We sit within the digital content team, which sits within the digital team under the wider umbrella of the audiences team at Tate, and we work across all 4 sites: Tate Liverpool, Tate St Ives, Tate Modern and Tate Britain. But what makes a good art documentary? I use the word documentary because we very much see ourselves as storytellers. Hopefully, some of our films will encourage people to visit the galleries or book an exhibition ticket, but the main motivation for what we make is to inspire people to learn about art and artists. I want to make a case for editorial storytelling in your museum's digital strategy. Now, I also know that Tate is in a very privileged position. We're a large organisation with access to artists, with dedicated budgets and a dedicated content team to make these films. I also know that in other organisations, smaller organisations, often content creation is one part of a much larger job description. But I really believe that documentary film can be a valuable asset for any museum and any budget. So I'm going to share 5 tips for how you can bring film into your digital strategy. The first tip is quite brutal. You have to ask yourself, why should anyone care? Think about your audience and ask, what do they want from this content? What is the thing that's going to make them stop scrolling and watch your film? Now, this might not be the thing, and probably isn't the thing, that the curators, artists, or other experts that are featuring in your film have been writing about, thinking about, or curating for many, many years. And so this can be quite a difficult conversation to have, but it's really important to put your audience first, because otherwise no one is going to watch your film. And this could be down to the questions you ask in the interview, it could be in where you set the interview, it could even be the thumbnail and the title that you choose when you publish to YouTube. Always think at every stage, what does an audience want from this film? For that reason, at Tate, we don't accept or respond to briefs from across the organisation. What we want to hear instead is the story, and then have a conversation with a curator or an artist directly about that story, and then together we'll decide what the best format is to tell that will appeal to the audience. Think carefully about the people who feature in the film. Who are the right people to tell that story? The right person is almost certainly never a sponsor or a funder. Sometimes it's a curator, sometimes it's the artist themselves or their community. If you're making a film about an artist who is no longer living, then having a curator on board to talk about them from an art historical perspective works really well. But it's also good to balance that with someone who knew them, who worked with them, maybe even a family member or a friend, to get that more personal, emotional resonance and dimension. We also prioritise making evergreen content. So that's content that can outlive the shelf life of an exhibition or a very kind of time-bound programme moment. If there's an exhibition about a particular artist, we often won't make a film about the exhibition, we'll make a film about the artist that then becomes a kind of definitive film that people can watch 5-10 years from now and learn something about that artist long after that exhibition has finished. Also check to see whether this story has already been told by another museum or gallery or broadcaster online. And if that story already exists, then there's no point in doing it again. Find a new way to tell that story or choose a different subject altogether. Tip 2 is to tell inclusive stories in the content that you make. And this comes back to the idea of the people who appear in your film, but also the people who help make your film. Now, measuring diversity is clearly a sensitive and challenging topic. It can not always feel appropriate, and it does run the real risk of tokenistic decision making. What we are trying to do is to widen the playing field and provide opportunities to filmmakers from as diverse backgrounds as we can. A mix of lived experiences also leads to a richer diversity in the stories that we tell. We also consult with specialist networks and organisations, including paid consultancy with Tate's own diversity networks. Just to name a few examples, through this process we've created films like Queer Cornwall, which shone a spotlight on 3 neglected LGBTQIA+ artists based around the village of Lamorna in West Cornwall. We produced the film Radical Landscapes, which looks at the depiction of Gypsy, Roma and traveller communities through British art. And we also worked with a dance group, Coralie, in which 4 performers with a learning disability created their own choreography inspired by works on display at Tate Britain. A few other ways in which we try to make our content more inclusive. We have a sense-checking process whereby every piece of content we create, either in development or rough cut stage, gets shared with the wider digital team, so people who haven't been working on this project, to get their views and feedback. The real aim of introducing this process is to mitigate unconscious bias. If just one producer is working on it, by sharing it with a wider team, we can really see where those blind spots are. We've also recently introduced diversity champions into our filmmaking team, so every member of the team becomes a champion for a particular underrepresented group or characteristic. They're responsible for researching crew, researching networks, and also making recommendations for how we can improve our filmmaking processes to be more inclusive for those groups. This is a relatively new process. We've only been doing it for a few months, but already there are some great things coming out of it. For example, we're about to launch an access rider, which we'll send to all crew, which will ask them questions about what their needs or requirements might be at all stages of the production process, and then we can make the necessary adjustments as producers. My next tip is to experiment with formats when you can. Now, the studio visit is quite a tried and tested format. It's very familiar and it probably makes up 60% of the artist films that we've created. Sometimes that can be reassuring for an artist. They can watch these films before, they know what to expect, and so they can open up and build a kind of relationship of trust with you. For other artists, the studio is a sacred space and they're not comfortable letting you in to that space, and so you have to think about other ways of telling that story. Some artists just find that format quite boring and will propose something else. This was definitely the case of last year's Turner Prize winner, Jesse Darling. When we first approached Jesse about making a film for the show, he wasn't interested in doing a studio visit. He thought that had been done before. What he wanted to do instead, what he really wanted to do, was a road trip around Britain, visiting those sites and places that inspired his work. And that's what we did. We spent 3 days in a car together with a small crew, travelling from London to Felixstowe and back. And it was a really rich and inspiring collaboration.
Does anyone know any jokes? How many performance artists does it take to change a light bulb?
I don't know. How many performance artists does it take to change a light bulb?
Don't know, I left.
I think working with an artist and what they want to do, sometimes you can't do everything they want to do, but leaning in and collaborating can lead to a richer and more authentic film, because ultimately you do want the artist to be happy with what you're producing. Of course, art is not just about the people who make it, it's about all of us, the people who view it too. That's why a few years ago we trialled the series Tate Dates. We invited 2 couples into Tate Modern to one of the lates. We mic'd them up and then followed them around the galleries, shooting on phones, eavesdropping on their conversation about the art and their relationship. And we hoped it was a really accessible, engaging and playful way to showcase the experience of being in a museum.
You're impressing me, babe. Well done.
Well done, me. You're well done.
Now, on the subject of being playful, that leads me to tip number 4. But it's better for me to hand over to my colleague Zoe to explain a little more about Tate Kids.
You get to clap.
Hi, I'm Zoë Smith. I'm Tate Kids producer. Tate Kids is our website for 2 to 11-year-olds. We want everything we make to be fun, playful, evergreen, educational, and a bit rebellious. Tate Kids is a safe environment for kids to explore art and art terms and learn about artists online. Alongside our popular game content, which generated 2.5 million page views last year, we create videos like art term explainers, animated stories, films that find new ways of looking at the collection, and fun how-to makes. We feed existing series with fresh content and experiment with new formats.
Triangle, it's like a triangle. And it makes me want to eat some watermelon. Because there's like, the line looks like watermelon.
We don't underestimate the fact either that adults seek out our content because it's fun and it's easy to understand. Teachers and students come to Tate Kids for our trusted educational content. We try and keep kids at the heart of everything we do, and we often go into schools and talk to kids about what they want to see. Our audience love our films about key art terms like pop art, impressionism and surrealism. These complex topics are broken down into easily digestible explainer videos, which work well in the classroom and are good jumping off points for art making. We also have our Becoming an Artist series, which looks at the childhoods of different artists and the journeys to them becoming an artist. This includes artists like Paula Rego, Yayu Kusama and Yinka Shonobare. We know that our popular content about famous artists brings in a lot of traffic, and we try to encourage onward journeys to a breadth of content across Tate Kids. We try to create content in which kids all over the world will see themselves represented. A lot of those kids will never set foot in any of our galleries, and they might not even know what Tate is, but they don't need to. What is important is that we're providing a space for kids to play games, play quizzes, make art, watch videos, and most importantly, have fun. There's clearly an appetite among our audience for this content because our traffic has nearly doubled over the past few years, and we're now at 100,000 hours of watch time on our YouTube channel. So my tip to you is to carve out space for playful and educational content as part of your digital strategy.
My fifth and final tip is to work to your budget. Production budgets come in all shapes and sizes, and it is completely feasible to make a great documentary shot only on your phone. As smartphone technology develops and the production value of films shot on phones develops too, the social team are able to create films that are more reactive to time-bound moments across the full galleries, that are more cost-effective and have a quicker turnaround. Something else we do to make our productions more budget-friendly is to invest in kit. We have our own film kit that filmmakers can use rather than hiring it in for every production. We're also in the process of upskilling our team through training so that when the right project comes along, we can feel comfortable and confident directing, shooting and editing the film. Finally, when working to a smaller budget, I would recommend hiring a self-shooter, so someone who can combine the roles of director, camera operator, sound recordist, sometimes even editor too. Another benefit of this approach is that the self-shooter will have oversight of the full narrative of the film and can be across it from start to finish. So those were my 5 tips for digital storytelling. I hope there was something in there that was useful in your own context and for your own museum strategy. If you want to see more examples of our digital storytelling, then take a look at the Tate and Tate Kids YouTube channel, where there are, as I've said, over 1,000 videos on art and artists for you to explore.